Welcome to the Spiritual Deep Dive in 5 podcast. So glad you could join us to spend some time reflecting on God and His love for each of us today. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. That way you'll never miss out on any of our content. The Spiritual Deep Dive podcast is posted Monday through Friday by Christ Church of Flagstaff here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you can find more information about our church online at ccof.church. Thank you so much for watching, and we are so excited to see what God is going to do in your life because you are committed to spending time with Him. We're looking at this Holy Week, the last words of Jesus, the things He said while on the cross. And this weekend, would love for you to join us at Christ Church of Flagstaff online or in person, ccof.church, all the info. The words we're going to look at today are found in Matthew 27, verse 46, when Jesus says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And in the middle of this physical anguish, Jesus is recalling words that were written hundreds of years earlier. We find them in Psalm 22. Listen to this. It's very familiar. The psalmist David says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? He goes on a couple verses later, verse 6. He goes, I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let Him deliver him, since He delights in him. Verse 14. I am poured out like water. Some people think that when Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He actually quoted this whole psalm. But Matthew, just to be brief, maybe just recorded the first line, knowing that his audience would trigger that this whole psalm is about what Jesus is going through. Listen, I'm being poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. That's what happened. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, like a piece of pottery that's been broken. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Jesus is hanging on a cross, and so much of what we see has been talked about previously in this Psalm 22, of crucifixion. He's been forsaken. God is not able to be in the presence of sin. And Jesus is taking on all of the wrath of evil, all of our sin in the world. He's forsaken. He's just had his closest relationship taken away for a time. He's mocked. We can read that in the accounts. His bones are out of joint. We see very clearly, the Bible tells us in the gospel accounts, the eyewitness biographies, that none of his bones were broken, but crucifixion would have dislocated many of his joints and bones. His shoulders, maybe his knees, his hips. Painful things happening. It says there he'd be thirsty. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Good Friday when he says he thirsts. It says his hands would be pierced in this psalm and his feet would be pierced, that they would divide his clothes and that they would roll dice to see who got his different articles of clothing. They were playing craps to see who got Jesus's Air Jordans, right? And it tells us that was going to happen to the Messiah. Here, these words from the psalm were on Jesus' lips. It also tells us that they were on his lips at a very specific time in Matthew's account. They were on his lips at noon. And the biographies tell us, these accounts of what happened, they tell us that at noon, starting at noon, for the next 3 hours, the sky was completely dark. Can you imagine? Well, listen to this. The prophet Amos, I know you were just reading from Amos earlier today at lunch. In chapter 8 of Amos, verse 9, he says, in that day, declares the sovereign Lord, I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight. I will turn your religious festivals into mourning. Remember, friends, Passover is coming in just a couple of hours. It is a holy festival week in Jerusalem. I will turn your religious festivals into mourning and all your singing into weeping. I will make you all wear sackcloth and shave your heads. I will make that time like mourning for an only son, and in the end of it, like a bitter day. These days are coming, declares the Lord. You see, when Jesus is there, forsaken, in darkness, in the middle of the day, and everyone around him is mourning, including us. All this darkness, all of the pain, friends, it was for a purpose. It was for you and I. We are that purpose. I hope and pray that this deep dive is helpful to you, and that you'll join us this Easter Sunday, either in person or online. All the information is at ccof.church.